Okay, we're looking at the Melbourne Storm in our 2021 NRL season previews. Now, last season they were second overall in the regular season with 32 points, 16 wins and 4 losses. So yes, they are beatable. They are human. Obviously, they won the grand final against the minor premiers, Penrith Panthers, so they got a bit of vengeance for not winning the regular season. Craig Bellamy is still the coach for one more year, although it looks likely this is his last season as head coach. Their strengths, they have loads, but I've decided to pick out two: a winning culture and player development. I mean, I could list off all their strengths really, and we'll be here for about half an hour, but they have that winning culture, they have that experience, and they keep developing players. They have a great player development pathway at the Storm. Whether you love or hate them, and they are a team people love to hate, you cannot deny their player development, and the structures they have in place at that club are second to none. The weaknesses, I'm pulling at hairs here. Some of the depth players didn't do as well in the games that they played when they were resting players or players were injured. And there were a few performances that were below par. The hooker position, I think, is going to be the headache. You've got Harry Grant, who's come back from the West Tigers. You've got Brandon Smith, who wants to make the New Zealand Test side for the World Cup at the end of the year, and he's been told if he's not playing hooker, he's not going to go, pretty much. And Cameron Smith is still technically listed as a Melbourne Storm player on the 30-man elite squad as things currently stand. Now, no announcement's been made on Cameron Smith. That's basically the main weakness, is the hooker position. Finding out who is going to be your starting hooker is key playmaking role, key link between the forward pack and the backs and the halves. And this is where I think my key player to watch is Cameron Munster. I think he had a few little niggly knee injuries in the season, missed a few games here or there, was heavily strapped for a lot of games with his knee problem. He needs to stay fully fit, and he needs to become the focal point of this team because of the hooker situation. If Harry Grant is the starting hooker, he's young and inexperienced, but he's exceptionally talented. If it's Brandon Smith, you know you've got a pretty solid test hooker there. But again, he hasn't been playing hooker a lot of the time. He has been at the Melbourne Storm. He's been playing as a lock. So that creates a bit of a weird dynamic. And if Cameron Smith goes on for another year, that does create problems at hooker depth, because there's a clause in Grant's contract saying he can leave. And Brandon Smith will also want to seek employment elsewhere, which does create a depth issue at hooker, which for the Melbourne Storm, I don't think they were expecting this problem. But that's their weakness, is hooker. My prediction is they're going to make the grand final again. Whether they retain their title and defend it or not, I think they'll make the grand final. I haven't said they'll be minor premiers though, because I do think there are one or two other sides that will push them for that. Penrith being one. The Roosters are going to possibly bounce back. The Rabbitohs look dangerous, and Parramatta, I think, have learnt a few lessons in the last two seasons. So there are other teams. Canberra possibly could be a dark horse as well, that I think will challenge for the minor premiership and the top four. But I do think this team is making the grand final. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. The Cameron Smith decision. By the time the season starts, this video could be dated very badly. He may have announced his retirement, or he may have moved on, or he may decide to stay. But as I'm recording this on the 14th of December 2020, he is still listed in the 30-man elite squad. So the Cameron Smith decision, we'll see what happens. Place your thoughts below. It'll be very interesting to see what people think on the whole hooker situation at Melbourne, because that is their main weakness, I think. That's the main sticking point, is that situation. Other than that, I can't see many weaknesses in this side. One or two players underperformed at times, and if Cameron Munster does have a few injury little niggles, Nicho Hynes is a pretty adequate replacement. And also, if Pappenhausen, let's say, has to be rested or has an injury or so, again, Nicho Hynes is a good player. He's shown himself to be quite adept and quite skilled in the limited games that he had. One of those depth players and player development that has paid off. He's a little diamond in the rough. They need to find a few more of them, because one or two of their depth players didn't quite really meet the standard, but there was no reserve grade last season, so it'd be interesting to see with reserve grade back. Some of those depth players may get a bit more game time, and then this team is pretty much not invincible, but damn hard to beat. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.